Good evening, everybody. To the portion tonight, the first meeting will be the community development meeting for Monday, April 10th, 2023. For the first meeting, we have 3 items on the agenda. First is the approval of the community development meeting minutes from March 13th and March 27th, 2023. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Oswald, seconded by Mrs. Mitchell.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item 2. Longfellow Street. Is Mrs. Dean in the room? Okay. I see that the okay. Mr. Farkas, would you like to speak on this topic at the moment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. As indicated in past meetings, a Type A or Type B childcare requires a conditional use. And there are 8 specific requirements that must be met that the Planning Commission and Council must consider. I assume you guys have a copy of my report for this particular project. I have gone through the process and listed all the requirements that have to be substantially met. And on page 2, bottom where it says staff recommendations, I list the code requirement and the current facts that was presented for the review. So I asked the panel to actually consider and weigh what the code requires versus what actually is proposed. Historically, I have been opposed to these types of daycares, as many of them with the Type Bs have been instituted prior to any type of approval, and now they're required by state law when they go for a Type A to get some kind of local jurisdiction acknowledgement. Unfortunately, there's a lot of these daycares throughout the city that are Type B that I myself am unaware of. As the fire department's not here, typically they're involved in regards to a Type B inspection. They would have knowledge of the use of the space and hopefully knowledge of the code in regards to the conditional use request. Other than that, I'm open for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Farkas. Are there any questions from the committee or anyone on the panel? Okay. Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to make a comment that I was at that meeting with Mr. Farkas, and the mayor brought up a conversation on this subject, which was very good. I did write a referral along with the mayor. We're going to have discussion in council. I don't know what committee I think that is, to go over some ideas that may be helpful with the committee that's going to change some of these rules and regulations. Just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oswald. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. I want to be fair here. I'm not sure if Mrs. Dean that something can come up. I feel more comfortable in tabling this item. I see people are shaking their heads. Yes, you're in agreement. I'm actually, Mr. Lippian, did you have your hand up?
I was just going to make a motion to table, Chair.
Okay, just one moment, please. Mrs. Mitchell?
Just a quick question. Was Mrs. Dean notified of this meeting?
Yes, I asked the Mrs. Rosado here, and she said she was notified.
Through you, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
And did she call and say that she could not make it? Okay, thank you.
No. So I was going to recommend that we skip over the next meeting and table it to May 8th. Does anybody have an issue with that?
No.
Yeah, Mr. Oswald.
Well, just a question. Maybe, could somebody just reach out and see if maybe she dropped it? I did have a conversation with her at the end of the meeting and just explained how council's been voting on these situations. I don't think they realize all the issues that, you know, pertain to the situation. So I don't know, maybe they don't want to go ahead. So
Right.
maybe if somebody first reaches out to them, but put it for a meeting, but
Right.
then if you reach out and go from there.
Okay, yes, that's what we'll do. That's kind of why I wanted to give a little extra time. And seeing on the 24th, we have a very packed agenda. So I thought maybe by going to the 8th, but I'll have the clerk's office reach out to confirm that she wants to come and speak. So,
Great.
Mr. Lupien has made a motion to table this. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second. All in favor of tabling to May 8th, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, this will be tabled till May 8th. Thank you. Item 3 is the matter of the annexation agreement with Carlisle Township, referred by Assistant Law Director Bruning. Law Director Deary?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This referral pertains to 2 parcels that are presently in Carlisle Township, residential in nature. They are located on Dewhurst Road. I would note that Mr. Yost, who is the owner of said property, is in attendance today. The Carlisle Township Board of Trustees has approved or is in agreement to the annexation. I would note that this is the very first step, which is the annexation agreement. I'm open to any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you, Law Director Deary. Are there any questions? Okay, appears there's no questions. I will go ahead and read the committee report. We have considered the matter of an annexation agreement with Carlisle Township. This would be an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a said agreement to annex approximately 2 acres of property on Dewhurst Road and 4 acres of adjacent property on Dewhurst Road. Parcel numbers 10-00-005-107-703 and 10-00-005-107-065. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Mrs. Mitchell,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Oswald.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, one more item before we go into joint. It was brought to our attention very late in the afternoon that Angela Carter wanted to speak on a topic from last week, so I'll have her come into the microphone at the moment. And she says she's going to keep her comments to approximately 2 minutes.
Some photos, and too, if they want to look at them. Thank you. Thank you very much for letting me speak. My name is Angela Carter, and me and my husband, Anthony Carter, we own the building at 801 Foster Avenue in Elyria. What she's passing out are some pictures. We are going to try to open up a breakfast and lunch spot from 6 a.m. in the morning until 2 p.m. We are asking for our liquor license because of the fact a lot of people like to come in and have a mimosa with breakfast on we have a very, very big patio, or beer and wings in the middle of summer. We redid the whole inside. We are just really looking to change what it has been in the past. We have owned this building for 15 years. And it was only bad for 2. Because of the fact all the bars closed in Elyria and they all migrated to us, and we didn't know what to do. We just lost our heads. So we did end up closing, and it's been 5 years now. We have been open for the last 2 years, but only for parties, only for like birthday parties and baby showers, and like you see the pictures that I gave you, that was my mom's 80th birthday party last year. We've been doing that now for a couple of years, and we have had no problems. But we own the building, and we would really like to do breakfast and lunch and acquire our liquor license. If you guys have any questions, we are more than willing to accommodate anything that you guys request from us.
Okay, thank you very much for speaking. As we discussed before the meeting, you know, this process really is in the works already with the State Liquor Board. You said you were either going to have some conversations with Chief Pelko?
I did. Me and the police chief had a conversation on Friday. Ms. Davis couldn't make it, unfortunately, and he was in agreement to where he was willing to figure something out with us if Ms. Davis, if all three of us could sit down at the same time and talk about it, because we don't want a bar anymore. It's a restaurant. I don't want a bar. There's nothing in my building that says it's a bar. There's no pool tables. There's no dartboards. There's not even a jukebox in the restaurant. There's nothing there, as you can see from the pictures.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So I personally think, you know, this is already in the process, and you said the State Liquor Board has already reached out to you, and they want to come to the building and take a look. Okay.
They're coming and inspecting the restaurant tomorrow.
Okay.
So that's why we were kind of shocked, but we just didn't know. We don't know the process either.
Okay.
So we were just hoping to figure out something between us so that it doesn't have to go any farther.
Okay. Well, at this point in time, the process has started. However, it is a very fair process, okay?
Okay.
You have just as much right to plead your case, so to speak, as the Elyria Police Department or the city of Elyria. However, if talks evolve with you and the chief and Councilwoman Davis, I don't know what the legality as far as putting an end to it or not having a hearing. I don't know. This is unprecedented. It's never happened before.
Okay.
But I would just recommend that you talk to the chief. You want to talk to Councilwoman Davis. You know, and if a hearing does go forward, which I believe it will, you know, you have every right to state your case and point out the positives.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Just one moment. Mr. Tolet had a question.
I just wanted to make sure you were, Mr. Farkas wanted to speak to this.
Right,
Thank
and
you.
I certainly want to have Mr. Farkas speak, so thank you. Were there any other questions? Anybody on the panel? Mrs. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, it's not a question as much as a statement. When your liquor license got pulled by the Liquor Control, it was because the neighbors went to Columbus and they pleaded their case. So it is not up to this council to remove your liquor license, as Mr. Callahan stated. It is up to the State Liquor Board.
Okay.
We only make a request that we have a hearing or we don't have a hearing. We have no other say in the matter. So it's strictly up to the Liquor Control Board.
Yeah. Thank you, Mrs.
Thank
Mitchell.
you.
Law Director Deary.
Thank you through you, Mr. Chair. And just for purposes of educating this committee, council as a whole has approved the prior committee report of this committee and has made the request to Liquor Control that a hearing be held, and that was the legislative act that was done at prior council meeting. So, you know, that is the stance. If that were to be amended, that could be done at a future committee meeting. Obviously, as we travel down this path, things can change. And if at such time as the city is, you know, I'm just speaking hypothetically, may have some reassurances made, we could move forward and say, again, hypothetically, that we no longer wish to move forward with the hearing, or we don't wish to present any evidence. But at this stage, council already has spoken. through its vote at last Monday's meeting.
Thank you, Law Director Derry. Appreciate that. Mr. Farkas?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to bring to the panel's attention, the applicant had indicated remodeling some of the interiors to accommodate a restaurant for parties. If that is true, our records do not reflect that, and that will affect the occupant load of the site and will be required to go through the permit approval process, especially if the occupant load is increased.
We did not change any standing walls or anything like that. We did not do anything like that. We redid the bar area right here, as you can see on the pictures.
Okay.
And we just put brick on the wall, and we redid the floor, and we painted.
I see you've added a significant amount of tables and chairs.
Yes, there is
That does
tables and chairs.
change the occupant load of the structure, most likely to a higher occupant load,
Okay.
which requires many other safety items. So based on the photos, we would be basically institute an OBC minor alterations application. I'll give you my card and get you started. We want to make sure that the occupant load there can support the number of exits, the number of restroom facilities, and to make sure that the particular alterations comply with the building code. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you for speaking. Thank you for adding. Yes, and thank everybody for taking the time to listen. Okay, at this time, I would have Mr. Stewart please call Finance.
I'll call Finance order.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. We have two items on the agenda. The first one is the approval of the community development, of the meeting minutes from the March 13th and March 27th meetings.
So
Thank you.
moved. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Sarah, seconded by Mr. Schneider. Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item 2 is the matter of the 2023 funding contributions to the Elyria Community Partnership in the amount of $100,000. Assistant Safety Service Director Calvert.
Thank you. Through you, we are requesting, on behalf of the Elyria Community Partnership, city funding to help support operations and projects to happen in 2023 in the amount of $100,000. So that $100,000 was already budgeted for through Issue 6 Economic Development Funds, and that funding will help continue the Third Thursday events as well as some of the other events that the ECP has done to help with economic development downtown, and a variety of other projects that they have planned for 2023. So if the committee would like, Monet Roberts, the executive director, and Mike Griffin are the board chair for ECP, are here to discuss in a little more detail what those projects are and how the city of Elyria and city council can expect that funding amount to help assist with projects and operations.
Nobody objected, so I guess that's a yes. Yeah, okay. Do you want me to do it? Yeah, if we can do it as a presentation. Like up underneath there. Technology at its best. There you go. Okay. So I'm going to give you, it feels like we were just here. So to be honest, we introduced Monet a few weeks ago, I think. So obviously, as we're coming to request funding, I think it's important that you see and hear from us again. So I'm going to go over a little bit of accomplishments for 2022. Then Monet is going to talk more about what we've done already in 2023 and what we're focusing on for the rest of the year. So again, just to reiterate, last year we did get our 501c3 status, so as a nonprofit. We did complete a strategic plan that really has driven the work we've already started, and certainly part of that was hiring Monet. We did expand the events we did. We added to the third Thursdays. We had a Fall Fest and PNC Winter Fest. PNC gave us a generous grant to put that work on and also to sponsor more activities for small businesses. So we're having some meetings with small businesses in April, later in April. We engage with about 100 businesses and about 5,000 residents through various activities. We were awarded a $100,000 grant per year for 2 years, so a total of $200,000. And other funding we've received is we did receive funding from the Community Foundation of Lorain County, as I mentioned, from PNC. We received funding also from the Lorain County itself to support our work. And all of these funders are, one of the questions they ask, is the city supportive? How are they supporting you? So as we go to funders, as we mentioned last year when we talked to you, they're all asking, is this something the city's supporting? So certainly your funding is critical from the funding aspect, but it also is critical from the show of support for other funders to provide funding for us. Okay, with that, I'll hand it off to Monet.
I'm a little shorter. Thank you all for having us today. I just would like to overemphasize Mike's point about you all support. 2022 could not have been made possible without your support and our generous funders that have supported us as well. So just so you all know, 2023, we're super strong, we're super excited, and so are the residents, and so are the community members. Some of the things that are not mentioned here that I just want to highlight that we have been able to do, I am standing before you all today as a result of an accomplishment for 2023 as the first hire, and we are currently in the process of hiring our second staff, which will be an events and engagement coordinator. Super excited. We're in the final rounds of that, so you'll be hearing from that person soon. And as far as 2023 goes, we have a couple focus areas that we want to highlight for this year that we're going to be looking over for the next year, and that is economic development, events expansion, support and partner with the existing programs, and branding. All right. So as far as economic development goes, we have some amazing projects coming, like the historical Looking Glass project that we're actually in the process of working with the engineer now to get a site plan done and work with the appropriate parties to get that moving forward. And we also just finished our engagement with Land Studios. So they gave us a list of items to complete, and we got all of that feedback from community members, from stakeholders, and we're really excited to get those done. We actually have some images there. You can kind of see some of the things that they're recommending, and we've also done a lot of business development and retention as far as just getting a database with our property owners and our business owners. We have that business luncheon coming up in April on the 29th, well, this month. If you all want to go, just let me know. And we're super, super excited. I just want to highlight for this point, if you all are wondering, like, what do these projects have anything to do with economic development? Communities across the world need projects like this, arts and culture. They build communities, they bring investment, they make people come downtown to a space that was once, people walked away from. So we're super, super excited to bring arts and culture and light and color and to support some of the things that are happening and continue to do projects that will continue to strengthen our downtown. As far as events go, we were able to do some amazing events last year, and this year we're taking it up a notch. We're going to be doing some movie nights in the plaza. I hope to see you all there. We talked about the small business luncheon, some fundraising events, because we understand that sustainability is a big key to continue these efforts. And we're also just supporting some of the events that are happening already with Parks and Rec, with the Community Foundation. They have neighbor nights, and then the other events that are happening in the community. And we're also going to continue those third Thursdays, the winter market, and the fall festival that we did, but just enhancing them. That way we're doing something different for the community and making it better and bigger than it was last year. As far as supporting and partnering with some of the existing programs, one of the biggest feedbacks that we got from some of our focus groups was just the look and feel of downtown not being as pleasing as possible. And of course, we can all understand that. I lived downtown for 3 years. I understand it, but we are super, super excited to partner with some organizations in the community that are already doing some cleanup projects, and also to expand that, to enhance that and make it more of a strategic plan, and even bring some pride for our Elyria residents where they can get involved and make it an event and really hone into having that pride for downtown, because sometimes it's just perspective, and we're eager to change the perspective in Elyria. Elyria also has the Spruce Up Elyria Housing Beautification Program that we've been sharing on our social media. We also want to continue to engage in that program to learn how we can support, how we can continue to enhance that. We're in talks with Invest Elyria currently for the farmers market to continue those and continue to support the program. And also I mentioned just a little bit ago some of the community events that are happening. And a big piece here is just the volunteer coordination. We understand that Elyria residents want to get involved, and we are the organization that will help them do that. A lot of residents are like, I want to get involved, I want to make a change, I want to be a difference, and they can come to our organization to know that they can do that difference. And the last piece, the reason why you don't have copies in front of you actually is because my printer decided to print off-brand, and that is a really big thing for us this year. We want to make sure that we're consistent in branding, and just knowing that in the short amount of time that we've been around, community members already recognize us as being doers, known for action, doing things, getting things done. So we want to continue that, which is why your support in this organization is going to be so critical for us this year, because we want to be able to start implementing some of the things that community members have talked about. We don't want to just be planners, we want to be doers. So the consistency is super, super important. And then also just being a liaison for community members, whether they need help as a property owner, as a business owner, or as a resident or a visitor, making sure that they understand that they can come to us for that support. So those are some of the things that we're going to be focusing on in 2023, and we truly, truly, truly appreciate the support that you already have shown and what you will do in the future to partner with us as an organization. Thank you.
Thank you. You certainly have a full agenda ahead of you. So. Very good, very good. Are there any questions? I see Mr. Oswald.
Just a comment. Probably a couple of years ago, I brought an idea to the table at the Parks Board. You may be able to get a hold of Mr. Battle. We just recently had a conversation. I've been trying to get a popcorn machine on wagon wheels. I've seen this done in other communities. You set it up in the park. You have different organizations sell the popcorn. They just come and they do it for free. All the money then would be funneled. We didn't know where it would be funneled or how, but then it could be donated to certain organizations every year, a different organization. So maybe you can get in contact with him. He might have a line on a popcorn machine, don't know how to handle it, how you store it, where you store it, but you want involvement. You get different community organizations to run it. Churches, athletic groups, band groups, whatever, that would be a great source to get some people together. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Oswald, his name?
Mr. Battle.
Mr. Battle.
Sam Battle.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Davis.
Through you, Chair. I just want to check to see if you put the water tower that's on Muncie Avenue in your radar.
It's on
because that area really needs to be cleaned up. Hey, I'm willing, you just tell us when to be out there to just start cleaning up and take a look at it. I'm all in.
All right. But yes, after our last meeting, it's on our radar.
Excellent, excellent. Are there any other questions or comments?
Make a comment, Mr. Callahan. So, Mr. Griffin and Ms. Roberts came up, was it probably about maybe 2 weeks ago or a little more than that in regards to this. This is all part of the process about supporting, this group. They're making the efforts. Now they have an executive director. It's been taking some of the steps over there to get to this point, but they're on a path that we got to keep continuing being supportive and encouraging them to keep coming up and kind of saying what's going on and just so that we can get the message out there that that we're here and that we need to kind of, revitalize this downtown. There's projects that are going to be hopefully are starting soon.
Yes.
And which is going to be a part of that revitalization. So I'm in full support of it. And this will be coming out of the issue 6, I believe, or 0.5%. Mr. Pileski.
Yes, the money is appropriated in the 2016 0.5% income tax fund,
Yeah,
Economic Development Department.
right. So I would just encourage, continued support of the, and we'll just kind of, see how things keep developing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I will read the committee report. We have considered the matter of funding contribution to the Elyria Community Partnership in the amount of $100,000. This is an ordinance authorizing the said funding for the contribution. Can I get a motion from Community Development?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Oswald and seconded by Mrs. Mitchell.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Can I get a motion from Finance?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sarah.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Ms. Roberts and Mr. Griffin, is there a way, I don't know if maybe the other members, did we get a copy of this PowerPoint, or if you did, if we can send it to, so that we have it? Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further business for community development, I'd accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Oswald, seconded by Mrs. Mitchell.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
Okay, we're going to continue on with Finance. Can I get the approval of the Finance meeting minutes for March 13th and March 27th of 2023?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sarah,
Question.
second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item number 2, we've considered the matter of inactive delinquent public utility accounts, a resolution authorizing said delinquent accounts be certified to the Lorraine County Auditor's Office as per the attached list. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
By Mr. Sarah, second by Ms. Davis. Ms. Connor?
Thank you. Through you, Chair. The list shows the accounts that were past due and finaled, and then we have a few of the multi-units that are not off, but they are delinquent in their payments. And we would file a lien on them because the tenants are probably paying for their water through their rent. This was approved by the resolution board on Friday.
Okay. Is there any further discussion in regards to the standard? I don't know if, Ms. Connor, if you had mentioned that. I know there was a couple meetings ago in regards to the significant dollars there on some of those accounts. I don't know, has there been any type of resolution with that? Okay, so we probably need to kind of sit down with the law director's office and try to figure out a plan moving forward with those significant accounts that are late. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Connor. Item number 3 will be removed from the agenda. Item number 4, We've considered a matter of a change order number 1 for the 2022-2023 sanitary and stormwater repairs with Extreme Excavating LLC. In an ordinance authorized the mayor to enter a said change order. The original contract was for $241,750. This change order is for $150,000. Final contract to be a total of $391,750. Standard emergency applies. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sarah.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Mr. Schneider.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you are aware, council has increased the funding to the street resurfacing, and in doing so, it has caused us to have to go out and actually inspect more sewers to make sure we take care of the sewers below the road before we resurface it. In doing so, we were finding a lot more breaks out there, and because of that, that's why we're here to increase the current contract that we have with Extreme Excavating so that we can stay on schedule for this year. Seems like every other day we're getting more and more breaks coming in, so it's a good and a bad thing, but it's a good thing overall. So,
Does anybody have any questions for what's being proposed? Not call for the question.
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Schneider. Item number 5, we've considered the matter of the purchase of road salt. In order to authorize the mayor to enter an agreement with the ODOT for the purchase of road salt for the 2023-2024 winter season. State of emergency applies due to the contract deadline. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Davis.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sarah. Safety Service Director Lundy.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, we're talking salt here in April, right? So, got to get the order in early to ODOT. Just to give you an update on a couple things here. We estimate we have about 2,000 tons in the shed currently. When you enter into these agreements with the state, you have to place what's called a minimum order. The maximum that you're allowed to order is the 9,000 tons. The minimum that we placed last season was 8,000 tons. We have 2,000 tons in the shed currently, and because of the way the winter was and because of the requirements that when you state a minimum, you have to receive what you're going to get. We got another 4,000 that we still have to receive. So that's for full transparency. The current cost for the salt is $47.32 a ton. That's under the current pricing. Obviously, what we will be doing is participating with other communities as the state goes out to seek pricing with a cooperative approach. We're thinking that right now we're looking at probably ordering 7,500 tons, and we have the opportunity. That won't be coming till next year, so I don't want everybody to think that's going to be sitting around. But we can actually reduce that to 90% of what we're committing to, or we're able to go to 110% of that if it turns out to be a bad winter. I don't think we're ever going to see another winter like we just saw. I would hope that we would, but I don't think that we will. I know that in previous ordinances, since the state permits you to go up to 9,000 tons, I think last year we had a not to exceed 9,000 tons. If that's something that council wishes they want to do again, but right now we're thinking we're going to order in the neighborhood of 7,500 tons based upon what we currently have and based upon what still has to be delivered as part of our obligation for this past winter season.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Lundy? Mr. Oswald?
I'm not on this committee, but a question. You mentioned co-op. So if by chance, it looks like we're having to order all this salt. So let's just say we got 12,000 ton of salt. Can we sell it in co-op with some cities? Can you sell them some and vice versa? Is that legal? Can you do that? Because otherwise we were gonna be sitting on a lot of salt, hopefully not having to use it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd have to check to see if we can actually sell the excess, but I do know in winters past, when there's been issues, I know that some communities, and I think our community one time reached out to the county engineer, and they were able to provide us with salt, but I think what ended up working out was that somebody got salt coming back to them, almost like a barter system, just that type of exchange.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions?
Question.
All those in favor? Oh. Okay. So currently, right now, what's being requested is 7,500 ton. So the committee report will reflect that. Does the motion concur?
Yes.
Does the second?
Concur.
Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. Item number 6. We've considered the matter of the certain building department pay rates. An ordinance authorizing amending ordinance number 2016-6, the salary ordinance to increase pay rates for the building, HVAC, combination inspectors in the building department. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Davis, second by Mr. Schneider. Mr. Farkas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Yusefi unfortunately couldn't make it, and she had asked that I please read her letter regarding this particular request as it was brought forth because of my actions in regards to trying to keep the certified staff we have. Her letter reads as follows. Please consider the following request. In October, we passed an increase in the range of specific inspectors with the commercial plumbing electrical credentials in the building department. There is another position called the building inspector / HVAC combination inspector, which should also be bumped up to the higher range due to the specific nature of the commercial certifications, as these positions are very difficult to recruit, and losing a building inspector would be very detrimental to the department as a whole. It should also be noted that the inspectors with the classification also have additional credentials as a residential building officials, which is a valuable certification for the department as it provides diverse flexibility in the residential field, ultimately generating better services to the public. The positions are required to have licensing by the state of Ohio that can only be obtained with years of experience in trades and testing. Currently, the hourly rate of the pays for these positions are Step C at $29.4407, Step B, $31.0623, Step A, $32.6431. I am proposing moving these positions to employees, which would be impacted, to the higher building inspector range of Step C at $30.96.44, Step B, $33.2623, and Step A, $35.30.33. This represents approximately 5% increase in Step C, 7% in Step B, and 8% in Step A. The higher rates are more in line with the market when comparing with other cities in the area, i.e. Lakewood, Parma, are our closest comparison. I would also like to add to that comment, as I mentioned in the past, certified personnel are pretty hard to come by, and keeping qualified people is a challenge, as many other communities are paying a little bit more than what we are proposing. So I ask that you please consider this request. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to defer to the law director. She has some questions in regards, and then we'll open it up to the committee for questions.
Thank you through you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Farkas, just for purposes of the committee report, so this proposed salary change is for the building inspector HVAC / combination inspector position. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, through you to law director, yes.
Okay. And so the proposed range is, I'm looking at Step C, 30.9644, Step B, 33.2623, and Step A, 35.3033.
That is correct.
That's what's being proposed? Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Work with that.
So with that being said, does anybody from the committee have any questions? Mr. Tolet.
Through you, Mr. Chair. as I see this position, in my estimation, this position pays for itself with our rate changes that we made last year. Would you agree with that statement that this position would more than pay for itself, as a matter of fact? Thank you, Mr. Farkas.
Mr. Chair, through you to Mr. Tollett, absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Oswald?
I'm not on the committee, but I was just curious. More designation makes a person more valuable. Is there a bonus program for these guys to start getting more designations to make our guys worth a little bit more to us? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, through you to Mr. Oswald, yes, there are incentives that we offer in regards to multiple certifications that can be held. As the benefit of having a state certified inspector, sometimes you get a singular classification. In this instance, with a combination inspector, you also get the building inspector portion, a residential building official, and also a mechanical inspector. So you get a 3-in-1 that is multi-certified, which is very helpful in this department because we can use them in very diversified areas. So there are incentives for acquiring residential building official certifications. You can acquire a plumbing certificate that pays a little bit more. A plumbing plans examiner pays more, an electrical plans examiner. So we do have incentives that hopefully will keep the staff we have on hand.
Okay. Is there any other further discussion? Mr. Sierra?
Through you, Mr. Chair, some of these inspections now, do we outsource them because we do not have the inspectors?
Mr. Chair, through you, at the current moment, that is true. We do have a contract with Safe Built. Currently, we're in search of a plumbing inspector. As that contract was established years ago, it just rolls over every year. We do pay a certain amount of money per inspection. It is not our ideal process because it's basically a stopgap measure until we actually hire a certified inspector. The benefit of getting an in-house plumbing inspector is I can use that inspector not only for plumbing, but for zoning and property maintenance enforcement, which I can also use the actual building and combination inspectors. So technically, you're getting a lot of responsibilities with that one person.
So through you, Mr. Chair, this would actually eliminate some of those costs to recoup some of the money that we're going to be paying out? We wouldn't have to pay Safe as much?
Safe Built.
Safe Built?
Mr. Chair, through you, once we hire a plumbing inspector, we won't be using Safe Built anymore until an on as-needed basis. If the inspector takes vacation, we would go to that backup service and use them as needed.
Have we had any applicants for plumbing inspectors?
We have had several applicants for plumbing inspector. Unfortunately, one was unable to obtain his interim at the state level, and we're still in search of.
Thank you.
So is that the only one, is the plumbing inspector that we have that Safe Built runs for that, or is there other?
I'm sorry?
Is the plumbing inspector the only one that we don't have the certification for, of that person they were looking for? Or is there other inspectors out there that were?
At this moment, we are deficient with having an in-house plumbing inspector. But we're very hopeful now that we have revamped our job description. I've actually gone to HR, had reviewed the request and said, we need to fix this to add a little more sugar on top of it, because the way it was worded, it wasn't very attractive. And we're hoping to go fishing in other communities as they do us. So.
Right. I see Mr. Pulaski is there. Mr. Farrell, you're standing right there. Do you have any comments or questions in regards to?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a question. I didn't hear an effective date. I'm not sure who.
Well, I think that's what we're asking about. Does this need to be an emergency?
I would request it be instituted right away, as the two staff have waited patiently for 4 months for this to be implemented.
Right. Mr. Farrell?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So yesterday was the start of a new pay. April 9th, April 9th be or.
We need to make that as far as.
10th? What day it is? April 9th, yeah.
What would be the next then from there, John? As far as, well, Director Deary, what was your question in regards?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Farrell, if either going backwards to yesterday, or what would be the next date? Just giving the committee their options. What would be the next pay period?
23,
I'm sorry?
April 23.
Oh, the 23rd, okay. I'm just trying to think when council meets the 17th. So if
We just make it effective as of yesterday?
So,
Is that,
through
what would
you,
be
Chair,
your,
the way it works, everything through Saturday is
Yeah.
paid this coming Friday. So if it were effective on the 9th, the council, ordinance would be inclusive of that date. It would be prior to the date when we would pay it out.
Okay. Thank you. That makes sense. Okay.
so with that being said, and the standard emergency applies, does the motion concur with that? Okay. So getting back to you, Law Director Darius, so does that need to be part of that motion or just making effective? So the date would be effective April the 9th. Does the motion concur with this going into effect April the 9th, 2023?
Concur.
Does the second? Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item number 7. We've considered the matter of issuing short-term bond anticipation notes in order to authorize the finance director to issue said bond notes in the amount of $5,200,000 for the Chestnut Commons Connector Road, $330,000 for the fire department pumper truck, and $300,000 for the side load garbage truck. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sierra. Second by Ms. Davis. Finance Director Plesky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 3 notes that are maturing at the end of June. One being the Chestnut Commons Connector Road notes. That amounts to $5.2 million. So the plan is to issue a new note for $5.2 million and pay the old note off. As you know, the property has not developed yet. There is a TIF agreement in place along with backing by special assessments, but there are no TIFs coming in, so there's no money coming in to pay down on the note, or if they were bonds, the same thing. But I would imagine once all that gets cleared up, that I will be coming to you when the notes mature, and we'll issue long-term bonds to pay the notes off, and then the revenue stream, whenever that starts, will start paying on the long-term bonds. The other note is a $440,000 note that is maturing, and that is for a pumper truck that we purchased a couple years ago. The initial note was $550,000. I've been paying down $110,000 every year so I can get it paid off during this 5-year cycle of the 2016 half% income tax. So I'll be paying down $110,000 with existing monies and rolling $330,000. And then the $350,000 is maturing for a sanitation truck that we purchased a couple of years ago. I'm going to pay $50,000 down on that note and then roll $300,000 and try to get that paid off within the next 5 or 6 years. So.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Plesky in regards to that? What's brought before us? There's no further discussion. Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Plesky. Number 8. we've considered the matter of creating a new special revenue fund entitled the Opioid Settlement Fund for the receipt and expenditures of the opioid settlement monies, in order to authorize the finance director to create said fund. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sarah, second by Mr. Snyder. Finance Director Plesky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would ask that you allow me to create a new special revenue fund to account for the opioid settlement monies that we'll be receiving over an 18-year period. We did get some monies in last year, and that will be addressed on item number 9. So this new fund would segregate it from the general fund and would account for all those monies as we get it in, and then subsequently spend it whenever we determine how we're going to spend that money.
All right. Any questions in regards to setting up the fund?
Question.
Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. This is the complimentary. Goes with what Mr. Pileski just referred to. Item number 9. We've considered the matter of the transfer of funds in the amount of $22,800.07 from the general fund to the opioid settlement fund in order to authorize the finance director to transfer said funds. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sira, second by Mr. Schneider. I don't think the finance director needs to explain anything more in regards to that. Law Director Deary.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Plesky, do you have a preference? Does the legislation need to specify what the name is for this fund, or do you have a name in mind?
It's going to be the newly created opioid settlement fund.
Okay, we can do that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. I'd say probably there's no appropriation changes, Mr.
I don't believe we have any this week.
Okay. Very good. If there's nothing more to come before this committee, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sayre, second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further?
Question.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Make sure you sign all the committee reports. Finance Committee. Thank you. Have a good night.
I'll
drive around. I need to talk to Mr. Farkas for 1 minute, then I'll drive.
I'm waiting on you.
I'll be there, I promise.
Yeah, Mom, I got told her before the meeting starts, yeah. I went over to